Hey there, and Happy New Year! Just like that, 2020 is hindsight, right? And what? No intro music? Yes, that is by design, and it will make perfect sense when you hear me out today. I've said before that I don't really subscribe to the New Year concept, especially when it comes to making resolutions or adopting new habits. I really think these things can be done at any time, any month, any day of the week. Doesn't have to be the first of the month or a Monday that you start eating right and exercising. Start in August on a Thursday. Just start. That said, there are two things that I like to do with the introduction of a new year. Things that, quite honestly, I have been known to do on a weekly basis. That's more effective and impactful, in my view. Anyway, that's what this little bonus episode is about today. Just a few views and observations from what I've done over the past year that will feed into adjustments I make going forward. How this podcast is, and ultimately how you may be impacted in a positive way, I promise. I said two things, didn't I? Before I get into reflections, because that will probably be the meat of this bonus today, one little ritual that I like to take part in is to pick a word for the year. Setting my intention, if you will. Keeping that word top of mind every day and letting it drive my decisions, my thoughts, feelings, and actions. That's what this work is all about. In 2020, that word was focus. I think I did better in some areas than others. I definitely kept my focus and my intention with this podcast. It serves as a perfect example of focus from start to finish when I really think about it. I made it a priority, and I haven't missed a single week in 40 weeks straight. Celebrate! I'm telling you this because it's important that we give ourselves the wins. Acknowledge them. What wins did you have over the past year? What could you do differently in the present and future? And maybe you don't want to change a thing in one particular area, and that's fine. Look for the next thing. We always have something that we want to strive for. That's what makes living this life an enjoyable experience, our own growth. Congratulate yourself on all accomplishments, both big and small. Every single thing that you have accomplished matters. Every small activity matters when done consistently. I need you to hear me on this one. You can definitely expect more to come on actions and consistency soon. So I'll give myself the acknowledgement for follow through and consistency on this podcast. I think I've had some solid performance in that area, and that I can start expanding in new territories now. How fun is that? Which leads me to my word for 2021. Audacity. Oh yes, I am excited about this one. You know, it's one of those words that we don't really use often enough, and we tend to only use it in terms of the phrase, the audacity, meaning the nerve of so-and-so to say this or do that. Who does she think she is? That's exactly why I want this word to be mine for the entire year. If someone out there isn't asking that about me, then I might just be doing it wrong. Not really. It's likely I may never even know if anyone did. We don't usually say those things to the person we're talking about. Or maybe we would on social media. There's something about that keyboard courage with anonymity sometimes. Either way, when we make statements like the audacity of that person, we're taking the second meaning of the word, which is rude or disrespectful behavior. And that may be the meaning that most of us are most familiar with. I know that's been my experience for a while. I want to own this word this year because of its first meaning, which is a willingness to take bold risks. And similar words to audacity include boldness, daring, fearlessness, bravery, courage. Yeah, I'm here for audacity. It's time for her to shine. Because if I apply that word in that context to everything that I do for the next year, imagine the possibilities. Yes, I get excited about my word. I encourage you to give it a try. No matter when you are listening to this, pick a word today and pick something that will challenge you, stretch you outside of your comfort zone. Those are the best words. Then stick with it every day for a full year. See where it takes you. You may just surprise yourself. Now, let's talk about reflections. I was in a zone of doing this weekly, and that's one thing that I'm getting back on track with. Really tracking my goals and progress on a weekly basis. In fact, I'll probably go ahead and do a full episode on this one next because this is the time of year when everyone is on board with it. For now, I just want you to think in terms of 2 simple questions to ask yourself when you reflect on your progress with anything in your life that you want to accomplish. 2 questions. What were my wins last week, and how will I improve next week? Then you can roll these up into a monthly view and yearly, but I want to keep this surface level today and save the good stuff for next week's episode. So 2 simple questions to keep it very general today and also to line it up with this podcast overall. And some announcements I'd like to make here. Let's apply it to the 43 episodes that were published in 2020. We'll keep those questions at a macro level applied to this podcast and how I'm doing my own reflection with it. What were my wins? Well, the fact that it exists at all is a huge win. You have no idea how much I procrastinated getting this going. I wanted everything to be perfect before I started. And I'm sure many of you can identify with that. Once I was able to let go of my flawed perception that everything had to be perfect, I got the damn thing going. I'm so grateful that I did. I know I've said it before, but I just love doing this podcast as much as I thought I would. So that's what I focused on. I focused on the journey instead of the destination. Good stuff. I've already mentioned my consistency, and that is a win for me. Were there weeks when I felt blocked and not sure what to talk about? Honestly, only a couple of times, but they did happen. Were there weeks when I was pressed for time and the recordings weren't optimal? Many more of those, for sure. I did it anyway. I did it from a place of love every time. Love for my ability to provide these messages to you, and love for each of you and your ability to receive them. even if it's only a handful of you per week. Some weeks have been like that, and that never mattered to me. It really didn't. Even when I talked about feeling jealous of my friend for having higher numbers on her podcast, and that was back in, I think, episode 39. Even when I was in the midst of those emotions, I reminded myself that's not what I was ever here for. I was always here for just one. If I can help one person out there to feel better about life, it's worth it 100%. I've grown so much as a person from this. As I mentioned in my first reflection, I had to let go of the need for everything to be perfect, not just to get started, but to continue allowing each episode to live on just the way that it is. I can actually take the first two and wrap them into this third and, quite honestly, most powerful win of all. Though I have been tempted to revisit that perfectionist tendency of mine, I have not. Because here's what happens. I listen to each of my episodes personally, not just when I edit, but out in the wild. I might be driving, taking a walk, or cleaning house, but I want to hear it like you would be hearing it. And often when I do that, I have the thought, oh shit, I meant to say this. Or, damn, that was a long ramble. I should trim that out. Like what I just mentioned with the comparing my podcast to my friends, I thought, damn, that sounds like I want my numbers to be better. Like this is a competition. And I meant to include that bit about really only wanting to reach one person. And I could have gone back and edited episode 39 and several other episodes. Every time I had a thought like that, I could go back and massage the episode. But then do you know what I'd be doing? What I'd be doing all the time? Yeah. I'm not trying to make this part of me, a full-time gig. It's simply another way for me to reach you. If I spend all of my time here, nothing else would get done. And I've got a lot of audacious things to do. And even bigger than that, just acknowledging that everything doesn't have to be perfect all of the time, and that good enough can stand on its own and just be there. We all could use that reminder. So I'm allowing every single one of these episodes to live just as they were born, with all of their flaws. I'm not going to change a thing. And over time, we'll be able to see the growth together, just like humans do. How cool is that? Now, how will I improve? By the way, I really like that question. You know, it's along the lines of continuous improvement models that you may have been introduced to at your places of work, things like TQM and the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, even Agile, are examples of frameworks that I've been exposed to. I love them all because the common theme in all of them is that it's more about the journey than the destination. Keep making improvements along the way, and you may arrive at something even greater than your original perfectionist vision. Continuous improvement is a great segue from the wins I just told you about, because I couldn't help myself. Even as I was identifying the wins, I was simultaneously thinking of changes that I can make to improve. Oh, it's so fun. I swear it really is. Okay, I'm going to do this one from the perspective of how I'm going to improve overall as a coach to offer my support. Though they do all connect to the podcast as well. They also connect to my embracing of audacity. So, first, I'm going to get a lot more interactive with you all this year. A lot. During the month of January, I will be offering weekly classes for free. This is your opportunity to interact with me, not just listen to me talk. Now, I know there is a lot of benefit to on-demand podcasts. Trust me, I get it. And it takes a little more effort to actually sign up for a class, put it on your calendar, and show up. However, I can assure you that the benefit of doing so is absolutely worth carving out the time for. Each week in January, I will be covering a topic on a deeper level than I do on this podcast. And you'll have the opportunity to chat with me live in real time, to ask questions, and to even get coached. It's like Podcast 2.0. And did I mention it's free? Putting the dates and times on this episode won't really be of value, as I intend to let this sweet little bonus live on too, as an example of self-reflection, evaluation, and improvement. So here's how you get the details. It's very simple. Just go to my website, sunnythelifecoach.com, click Let's Do This, and give me your name and email address. Easy. 2 fields to complete. Then I will send you the latest information straight to your inbox as it becomes available. And since I'm going audacious this year, who knows what might be coming up? I'll tell you this though, if you're on the list, you'll be the first to know about what I do come up with. You'll get all of the latest announcements and opportunities to interact with me. And I will tell you for sure that we're going to talk in depth about personal goal setting, people pleasing, perfectionism, procrastination in the coming weeks and beyond. Those may not sound like sexy topics, but I can assure you that the reason you're not moving forward in life will usually apply to one or more of those areas. Those are the things I now recognize have kept me from doing what I really wanted to do in the past. And I'm going to show you how to break out of that cycle. It's how you stay stuck. And if you want to really transform the way you are living this precious life of yours, you're going to need to learn all of the ways to get your mind right about your thoughts and everyone else's thoughts about you. I don't use the word transformation lightly. It gets used a lot, especially this time of year, but I truly mean it. Break out of the limitations that only exist in your mind. Stop fucking worrying so much about what everyone else thinks and live your damn life already. I can't wait to get going with this. I am stoked. Okay, that's how I plan to improve in terms of being more accessible to all of you. Podcast 2.0, interactive opportunities. So many in the works already. Please get on the list so you don't miss any of it. And here's the big one. Are you ready? Brace yourself. I am changing the title of this podcast. Yeah, so what? I mean, really, podcasters do it all the time. Sometimes with an announcement, other times they just do it because it doesn't necessarily matter if you're subscribed. You don't have to do a thing. You'll just be seeing a new title and cover art soon. Might be next week or the week after that. It'll be there when it's ready, not when it's perfect. So with a new title, there will be an updated intro, and that I will need to go back and update all of the previous episodes, but I promise I won't mess around with anything else while I'm there. The new title will be What Lights You Up? And I was inspired to do this from my own current intro, the one that I'm getting ready to overwrite. The part that says, I see you out there searching for something or someone that lights you up. Well, it hit me that I've been saying it all this time, but I haven't really made this material searchable in the literal sense. And I really dug in on my original title because I was truly making an example of myself in making a decision, liking my reasons, and just moving forward. The perfectionist part of me wanted to ask for endless opinions and suggestions, and I actually did ask a couple of people, and they were confused as to what it even meant. But I was like, okay, your opinion is noted. I know what I mean by it, and other people will just figure it out. That may be true, and you may love it now, or if you're listening to this later, you may be confused at the moment. So I'm retiring the original title of Light the Fuck Up in the spirit of searchability. Now, if I were already well known as some kind of celebrity or influencer or something, I could probably have gotten away with it. But I do want the person who is truly searching for this very content to be able to find it. And I knew about this aspect when I started. Of course, I probably didn't fully understand it as much as I do now. That's a testament to growth. So good. I feel great about this improvement in particular. I do, because my initial intent still held true. I did make a decision. I did like my reason, and I did move forward with it. I didn't stay stuck and spin around in endless questioning about whether or not I should or shouldn't go with that title. I went with it, and I felt great about it. And the best news is that's how it's done. You get to improve upon your decisions and the results of those decisions later. You don't look back and say, wish I hadn't done that, or wish I hadn't done it like that, because that's not useful. That's also not at all what I'm doing. What I'm doing is including my original title as both a win and an improvement. It's a win because I fucking did it anyway. Now I'm improving upon it because I can. I give myself permission to do that. I love my reasons, and I have my own back. You want to know how to do this for yourself? How to start down a path and just be more than okay with wherever it leads you, even if that means changing your pace or your direction or exploring the places you never thought you'd go. Maybe a little zigging and zagging and just being okay with it all, because it's not even about the destination, because it never was. We've just bought into a notion, that's all, a notion that getting to some concept of there, whatever we have decided in our minds that magical place is, that there is where everything is going to be perfect. Connect with me. That's what this journey is about. Of all of the things I've done over the past year, I can honestly say that this podcast has been the most fun thing ever. I have learned so much through the process, and I appreciate each and every one of you who have tuned in to be a part of this growth. I also hope that you realize I'm not just talking about myself all of the time. I'm not talking about myself right now. I share these little pieces of my journey as I'm traveling because I want you to see that you don't have to wait another day to start your own. Every little snippet of a personal story I share is something that I hope resonates with you. Perhaps we can agree that 2020 was a shit show from the collective of humanity. Perhaps we can also agree that when the date and time changes, there isn't going to be any magic to make it all disappear. The best gift you can give yourself right now is the gift of being awake and aware to all of your own power, and that no matter what happens in the coming days, weeks, months, or years, you can manage it because you finally understand this is how this life works. It's as simple as that. In this new year, I, for one, am choosing to keep showing up and shining so fucking bright it might just hurt your eyes or your ears. Get on my list so you get all of the details. SunnyTheLifeCoach.com. Let's do this. 2 fields, submit, piece of cake. No matter your wins and your losses over this past year, I still want you to know that I see you and I'm here for you. I'm sending you all of my love because you are amazing. Light up and shine on.